One. Rock Solid Musecast Experience with Aaron and Dave. And on the line, Aaron, TRICORD, all the way from Nichols, Georgia. That's the live studio audience just for you guys, man. How you guys doing today?
Doing awesome.
Yeah, you look like you're doing awesome. It looks like you're in Prince's studio out there in Minnesota. All the purple lights in the background. It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
Got a little Purple Rain going on, man.
Will you guys crank out a little Purple Rain for me? It's one of my favorite Prince songs. So we got Jermaine, Joey, Perron. Did I say it right? Perron?
Yes.
I got it right. And Charles. It's like you guys sound like a boy band when I name off the names. I got Jermaine and Joey and Charles and Perron. All right. Hey, now I've listened to your album Into the Storm and I'm digging it. You guys got a different approach. It's very unique. It's kind of a little, it's like a rock worship thing, like a worship going on. It's definitely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say that's an interesting way to describe it. I don't think I've heard anybody describe it that way yet.
Well, I mean, would you disagree?
No, not at all.
All right.
No.
Yeah. It's like a storytelling worship type of thing with a rock soundtrack. That's kind of the way it spoke to me. Aaron?
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Sound. So how'd this thing all start? How'd you guys all start doing this? When'd you put together the boy band?
Well, let's see. Back in 2020, I was starting to feel a shift with a previous band that I was with, known as Forever Majesty. At the end of Forever Majesty, there were myself, the lead guitarist at the time, and another drummer, and it was just the three of us, and I was playing bass. And we ended up meeting a producer and connected with him, and we knew we had to fatten up the band. So we started, the three of us started holding auditions, and we got a manager and progressed. I think the first audition we had was Joey, and we brought Joey in to play bass and to do backup vocals with me. Then I started going to the church that Charles goes to because my wife and I were hired as the young adult ministers of the church. And so I was like, this guy has potential. So I asked him if he wanted to be a part just so we could have an extra guitarist, and auditioned him. And Haran actually came a little later. The original drummer was having some life issues and had to step down. And so we were looking for a drummer. And at first I didn't want the guy, but now I don't regret taking him. But then we got Haran on the team. And so now we have Charles, Haran, Joey, myself, in the band.
And when you say you didn't want him, it was because he's young. He's younger than all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, just a tip here. If you want to be a true boy band, you need one more member. Got to have 5.
Yeah. We're working on it.
Okay.
Working on it.
All right.
Working on one more member.
Get the word out. All right. So the as I mentioned, you got this rock worship thing going on, and I apologize if that's not what you guys consider it, but I mean that's kind of how it spoke to me. It kind of took me back to a lot of the stuff that I was introduced to in the 70s. You know, like it wouldn't surprise me at all if you said you were influenced by some of these Maranatha music. Now I'm really dating myself, aren't I, Aaron? Maranatha music artists and stuff like that, because there was like a touch of that there, but it's so modern. And I loved the bass tracks, the rhythm of it. You had a little funky thing going on in a couple of the songs. I was like getting into that. You got this all these ingredients going into your music that I couldn't label it just one thing.
Right. Well, we feel like it's so cliche that a rock band has to have just raw vocals, and why can't they be great vocals? You know what I mean? Why can't they be, you know, more worship style with the rock? I mean, that's just us.
Do you guys play any of the, like, at your church or anything like that?
Every single last one of us were on a worship team somewhere.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So one of the things that I was curious about is, where did you come up with the name TRICORD? What's that about?
Okay, so coming up with the name TRICORD wasn't easy. We went through like 40 something names before we got the TRICORD. We were all just kind of coming up with names, and whatever came to mind, we were just spitting it out. And some of them were like, man, those would be cool, like song titles and stuff like that. But I was just kind of studying my Bible one morning, just having my morning devotion time, and Ecclesiastes 4:12 popped up, and I was like, dude, I think I got a name. And so Ecclesiastes 4:12, just to paraphrase, it says, one can stand alone and be easily defeated. Two can stand, and two together can stand. But a triple braided cord is not easily broken. And so that's where the name TRICORD came from. The moment I read that last line, I was like, TRICORD. And so with all the 40 something names that we had and we were going through, we got to like the last 5 names. We narrowed it down to 10, then narrowed it down to 5, then narrowed it down to 3. And in the top 3 names, TRICORD was in the top 3 names. And our manager at the time was just like, dude, let's just go with TRICORD. He's like, I love the verse that goes with it. He's like, it fits perfectly what you guys are for and what you stand for and everything like that. And so we all voted one more time, and TRICORD ended up getting the most votes. And so now we're TRICORD.
In the negotiations, you said you whittled it down to all these different names. Was it like a lot of Rochambeau going on and arm wrestling and flipping quarters? And, you know, it's like we whittled it down to TRICORD. Or, I mean, I love the verse. I didn't catch that at all. I didn't catch the verse thing at all. And I'm listening to your music, and I'm going, well, see, I equated it to music. I'm like, they're playing way more than 3 chords, Aaron. And I went, you know, when I was playing guitar and I was playing some Green Day stuff, I went, Green Day should be called TRICORD because they only play 3 chords. And I'm like, these guys are playing way more than that. So I equated it to music. I didn't know there was a verse associated with it. But yeah, did you have a lot of Rochambeau going on and rock, paper, scissors and all that?
It kind of, when it got towards like the last like 5 names, we were all just like, no, let's put this one on there. No, we like this one. And so it was like, but it was fun. It wasn't like we were like arguing and trying to like choke each other out for the name or anything like that. It was kind of simply, we should have arm wrestled. I'm a very competitive person, so we should have did stuff like that for the name.
Well, I thought, you know, they have some rap in the music, they have rock, and then they have some worship. So I thought those 3 things, you know, is how they got the TRICORD. But they went the biblical route instead of that. But that's what I thought when I heard you guys, and so. All right. Yeah. Who are your influences? Because I'm sure each of you have different musical influences. So each of you.
Okay, each of us?
Yeah.
I grew up listening to a lot of older rock and modern rock, all the way from Zeppelin to the Chili Peppers. So I've been influenced by, I guess, a lot of the greatest known guitarists to the world. Jimmy Page, Eric Clapton, John Mayer, just very diverse. Never really got into country, but I did dabble in it just to, you know, try to figure out where I was going with my own style. So I kind of have this, I guess, like a Southern rock type thing going on. But
Okay.
I can't imagine why you would have a Southern rock thing going on. It's not like you're in the South. I'm just playing, guys.
I grew up playing gospel, like listening to gospel music, a whole lot of gospel music. And I grew up in a missionary church. So majority of the time I was playing like praise and worship type stuff. So, but now it's like I've got to the point where I listen to everything. So I just use all of that when I play.
You know, that's what I told my son growing up. When he started getting into music, he was kind of a rocker. And he said, you know, and I said, hey, you can't just stick to rock. You got to listen to a little bit of everything, because everybody's got their art, and there's good stuff everywhere. There's good country, there's good rap, there's good rock, there's good pop even. And I'm not a big fan of pop, but there's even good pop. So you got to get your influences from all over, and don't be tunnel vision on your musical interest, I should say, I guess.
How about you last two? Who's your influences?
I'm a worship leader, so modern worship, of course, would be my first one. And then, you know, I grew up on POD and Pillar and Family Force 5, believe it or not.
Good
I
band.
love that style of music. I don't know how good that mixed with worship music, but I like that style of music. I guess it's just the alternative of, you know, of what I like, and then I like and I do worship too. So we kind of mix it.
Cool.
Okay.
And Jermaine?
For me, I grew up in a family that just absolutely loves music. So my whole like repertoire of music goes from genre to genre. I could say like I used to love, man, I'm a huge Journey fan, believe it or not. So like I love like Journey, and then from one extreme to the next, Michael Jackson was a huge influence for me. And I bet you can't guess, but Linkin Park is probably one of my biggest musical influences.
Wow.
So I'm a huge Linkin Park fan. And for me, growing up, like one of the ways that I try to write lyrically, and I'm sure you can kind of like hear it a little bit and stuff from listening to the EP. I have the heart of worship at its core with writing songs that are pleasing to God, but I also know what it's like to deal with life and how to overcome things in life through Jesus Christ and all. Like, I know what it's like to be depressed. I know what it's like to want to commit suicide. I know what it's like to feel like you have no direction or feel like you're worthless or not enough and stuff like that. So like Linkin Park was a huge part of my musical upbringing, and the way that I write and stuff like that is because they wrote a lot of music to help a lot of people. There's a lot of people that were changed by their music, and I want to influence people in such a way as well. And so that people can just see, like, because I think a lot of times as believers, we sometimes forget what it was like to be how we were before we got saved, or we forget a lot of times what it's like to experience certain feelings and emotions and stuff, because we try to mask ourselves with just a fake mask, like of just kind of pretending sometimes that we're not dealing with things. And so I want to try to, so my musical influences have everything to do with that, and being able to write to that caliber. Like I used to love Eminem too. Eminem and Lil Wayne, just the way they wrote, how clever they were lyrically and stuff. And I look up to a lot of those people, or whatever.
Well, I got to ask you, because you mentioned Linkin Park, and I'm going to kind of like, this is going to be out of left field, Aaron. I just want to ask you, since Chester died, do you think that Linkin Park should continue, get a new lead singer, not call themselves Linkin Park, because you can't have Linkin Park without Chester, right, Jermaine?
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Oh, continue. Sorry.
No, I was going to say put a solid lead singer in there, rename the band like they did, like say with Audio Slave or something like that. And
Right.
those guys should continue making music because they're all talented.
Yes, I agree 100%. And like I said, a lot of their music was like, it really like shaped and molded my creativity with the way that I write and try to go after music. A lot of their music really helped me through some really tough, depressing, and sometimes suicidal times in my life. Because they said the words that were hard for me to find, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I think that, yeah, like you said, they're all incredibly talented people who should definitely keep making music.
I think I agree. I think they should. I would really like something new from those guys. And it's okay. Like I said, don't call it Linkin Park. Just name it something else and put a solid lead guy in there and keep going. Because I think, man, I think they got it. So
Yeah.
you guys all grew up in the church. I mean, kind of strike me like you all grew up in the church, and this is just kind of the next step for you.
Yeah.
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 My church, I kind of grew up in the church, but not really. My story goes, I was in church and stuff, but wasn't in church, if that makes sense. Later on, when I for real got saved and just set on fire, I mean, it's how it is for me.
Well, God lit the fuse on you, and it took a little longer. Hey, I want to play a song here. Which do you have one lined up, Aaron? Because I got an idea. If you don't,
No, we're gonna go with Drown.
We're gonna. You're gonna go with Drown right out of the chute, man.
Right
You're gonna go. All right, he's gonna go big, guys. We'll come back and talk to TRICORD about Drown, because I do want to talk about that in just a minute. But here it is, Drown from TRICORD on the Rock Salt Musecast.